it could be a way of expressing yourself, which is also something that I agree with. Some people think it's just something to do with leisure because it's something that's very relaxing. So it could be anything. Well, people haven't yet come to a conclusion of what exactly art is, because various philosophers, various art historians, critiques, everyone have their own different opinions on what art is, and including the students, they all have different view on what art is. So we all know that aesthetics is a part of philosophy in itself, and aesthetics has lasted, I mean, it's been there in existence since much longer than we even know, it has been there. Like if you're talking about Indian art, okay, so like right from the time of Ajanta and Ellora, the cave paintings done there, everything is like, if you see, people didn't know at that time. We didn't have a proper school of art like what we go to nowadays. Like we never had anything. And the ones that existed before, the way how people used to practice art and stuff, it was all through like something that is vocally and verbally passed over from generation to generation.
Totally.
It was written down in this Vishnu Dharmodra Puran. It was that's a Puran in which there's this part called chitrasutra. Okay, and sutra itself means a set of rules. So Chitra Sutra talks about the like what we call in these Chinese listing, the 6 limbs of Chinese paintings. The same way Chitra Sutra is something for Indian art, and people have been following that in sculpture and painting, in almost every form of art. So it has been there since the beginning of time. Say like a small part of like what exactly the Chitra Sutra says about art. There's this particular line that goes like Rupa Bheda Pramanani Bhava Lavanya Yojanam Sadrishyam Varnika Bhanga Iti Chitra Shadangakam. If you understand Sanskrit, or even if you don't, like what it really means is Rupa. It focuses on the form. Bheda, which is expressions, and Pramanani, which is perspectives. Okay, and then you've got Sadrishyam, which is similitude that poets use, like describing the face of a beautiful woman with the moon or something like that. That's similitude. Then you've got Varnika Bhanga, which is color composition. So all of this has been mentioned in the Chitra Shadangaka. A color means something to every person. You've got like different attributions to each color. That really helps us to understand not just the artwork, but also the sentiments and the feelings that the artist must have felt at the moment of creating the artwork. Like, for example, when you're looking at, say, Vincent van Gogh's some painting, like, let's just take the common example of the Starry Night. Because
everyone knows about the Starry Night. Totally, yes.
Yeah, so in this, I'm not just talking about the colors. Like if you see, of course, you see the hues of blue everywhere. And you also see yellow in like a very, like less quantity, but of course you do see yellow. And you see, okay, apart from the colors, I'm also going to make a huge emphasis on the way how he's used lines, broken lines to make his entire painting.
Beautiful,
so basically, people who study all these things would be knowing that, like the way how a person makes a line, if it's a straight line, it's like lifeless. Something that's like a wave means motion, and what I feel is like if it is like broken dots and dashes, it's kind of uncertainty.
Yes.
That's the reason even in a language, when you want to continue a sentence, but then you don't know what to continue, you just put dot, dot, dot. Right.
Yes.
So the way how he's used the dash, 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 kind of, if you know the story behind Vincent van Gogh's life, it was a very depressing life, and he didn't really know what his next step towards his life would be. So, it's all reflected in his painting.
Totally. Very, very nice thought on the shapes and lines of a painting, because we actually sometimes the people who don't know how to appreciate art overlook these things, right? Overlook the main elements of art, the subtle elements of art. They overlook these things, but when you delve deeper into art appreciation and art in its truest form, then you get to know that it is very, very, it has a story behind it. It's not just how it is. It has a story behind it. Yes, it's. I would like to ask you, are there any travel experiences or of these sorts that you can think about?
I have visited a lot of places, like like since my childhood, I've been going to all galleries, museums, and stuff. But then, when you talk
Amazing.
about places of art historic importance, like since I
Yes,
grew up in Chennai, of course, I visited Mahabalipuram or
Mahabali.
Mallapuram like 100
Beautiful,
times.
beautiful. A
Like the
hundred
Ratha
times, you're
that you
so
look
blessed.
at,
Seriously, seriously.
Rathas, Rathas, if you
Amazing.
see that are like just flabbergasting, they're like jaw-dropping. They're so beautiful because, especially when you know that they've been done by monolithic stones, it's like wow, like the way how, like Michelangelo says, he just sees a rock and he's not really sculpting anything, he's not making something new,
Yeah.
but just removing the extras to, bring out the line that the stone was actually meant to be. So
Just
that's
amazing.
exactly what they've done with all these monolithic structures. And not just I'm talking about Mahabalipuram, but when you come to, of course, the caves of Ajanta, because they're like huge
Ajanta,
mountains that have been just carved, like
beautiful,
dug into to
beautiful.
create those. Yeah, you've been there.
I have been there, and it has been a very special moment to actually witness the paintings of that era. I mean, when I'll just share my experience of going to Ajanta, and it was such a beautiful experience. You had to go inside the caves, and there wasn't appropriate lighting also, because the light harms the paintings. So the lighting was a very dim lighting was there. So there were just small yellow lights that were there, and you had to see the paintings through it. So it was kind of discovering the already discovered paintings through your eyes, and the process, the problems that you face in that, it's also memorable. It's just a memorable experience to.
And I would like to start off by saying that, when you're coming up with something creative or something imaginative, you'd be surprised to know that it's not 100% your own imagination. You might think that, yes, you're doing something completely different and that no one has copied ever. There's this very fun activity once one of our teacher had made us do in class.
Yeah.
Like he was in the middle of the class, okay? He was in the middle of the class and he just stopped for a second to teach us, to give us a small activity. He told us without thinking, without any minute, just you had the pen in your hand, you already had the book in your hand, just create something that you've never seen before in your life. And we all had like
Oh,
maybe a couple of seconds time. We did something and we showed it to our teacher and he was like, this looks like this, that looks like that, something that looks like it had been in the prehistoric time. I mean, what
amazing,
we learned
amazing.
out of that is that nothing is really new. Like whatever we make today is somehow or the other something that has inspired us or something that we grew up watching. Somehow in our subconscious mind, that pattern, those textures,
It's
those
in.
lines, shape,
Yes.
colors, everything has been, you know, that's what helps us to create something new today. If not, there's absolutely nothing that is new.
Like I also as an artist, I can speak about how I also struggled at one point of time about this point, this station that we come to eventually. So you have to get inspired from masterpieces. You have to get inspired from people. You have to talk to people. You have to converse with people. You have to collaborate with people, and that's when you will actually learn what is the real art. You can't. I believe that it's what you say. It's just thinking that you are the greatest person, or you are the greatest artist, can't be true. You have to learn from the people who have done it, because they have actually given their whole lives to this sole purpose. So starting with art, the first thing that everyone has to understand is to imagine, but imagine with inspiration. I would like, that's where I would like to bring this conversation to inspire and get inspired. Yes.